Casual. Welcome to everyone who was able to make the time to join today. I cannot wait to introduce our speakers. But first, we're going to do just a couple of orienting slides here to make sure we're all on the same page about what we're doing today and why we're doing it. So this is one installment. It is the seventh installment of a virtual trauma speaker series, which is co-hosted by our center at Northwestern University. My name is Tracy Fehrenbach. I co-direct our center with Dr. Cassandra Kissel, who's also on our call today. We have a large number of our center's team today helping us to manage the logistics. But we are just co-hosts of this. We are working very, very collaboratively and very closely with a large number of different divisions and agencies within the juvenile court and have been over time. In fact, we wanted to just put up one slide here that kind of advertises the work that we have had underway since 2023, so the summer of 2023. It is a collaboration between not only juvenile court agencies, but we also have some very important community partners that show up and help us do the work that we've been doing, which the overarching goal of is to trauma inform the justice system just as much as we can. So if anyone's interested in learning more about this work, we urge you to reach out to us at the email below, or if you have my email personally, please feel free to reach us that way as well. We would be very happy to welcome you into this work. Today, so this is our youth panel. It is our absolute joy and honor to have London Lions, James Price and Tyjuan Watkins here with us today. We will be doing a number of things, but the most important part of everything we do is getting the perspectives and input of these really terribly bright, thoughtful, generous young men who've decided to spend some time with us this afternoon. So I'm going to first orient, before we have everyone introduce themselves, I want to orient all of our participants to how today is going to go. The young adult panelists or the youth panelists and our center has been meeting a series of times leading up to today, and we have co-created an agenda. This is what it looks like right now. Lennon, were you trying to jump in?
No.
Okay. So we're going to open up with some casual conversation and some introductions. We are then going to play some film clips that I'll orient you all to in a moment here and have our panelists respond to whatever comes up for them when they watch the film clips. And then we have consolidated 7 questions from our justice partners. We probably got in 25 questions in total. So we worked with our team, we worked with the juvenile justice planning team, and we worked with our panelists to pick a few of those. If time allows, our panelists are open to the idea of setting aside the last 15 minutes or so to respond to any comments that come up in the chat or questions. Please feel free to comment in the chat if you'd like as we go through. There will be members of our center's team consolidating your thoughts, and we'll use that time at the end if we can. And then maybe the second most important slide that we're putting up today is this one. And the first one is not a slide. The first one is our speakers. But we all wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page about kind of what today's about and how we should all approach it. So these are just some pointers. We urge everyone to keep in mind the following. Number one, why are we doing what we're doing today? Because elevating youth and family voice is at the very center of trauma-informed care. And you all probably recognize that or you wouldn't be tuned in for today. Second, we want to highlight that our youth panelists are going to be speaking from their hearts and sharing their perspectives. They have the freedom to talk about or not talk about anything they want, and that includes their own personal life experiences or history. We would like to formally recognize that it takes a great deal of courage and vulnerability for any panelists to do something like this, but especially when we have youth, right? Sitting with probably at this point over 100 juvenile justice professionals. We want all of our participants to keep in mind that we may or may not agree with the panelists' perspectives that is shared today, and that is perfectly okay. And at the same time, this really is not the space to challenge any of the perspectives that you hear. As you saw in our previous slide, the agenda slide, we do have a structure to today, but we are going to prioritize flexibility. We are going to prioritize flow because we know that something valuable will come out of this so long as we elevate the youth's voices. And then our final thought for today, if you find yourself impressed by what you hear today, please do not hesitate to share your gratitude and your praise in the chat. So, okay. So this is where just two more slides, and then I promise I'm going to turn it over to the true stars of today's show. This is our CTASI Films webpage, and the clips that you see highlighted in today will come from this set of films. So CTASI is our center. It's a Center for Childhood Trauma Assessment and Services Integration at Northwestern University. As you can see by the blue arrows, we have a set of films on complex trauma, and those are called our Remembering Trauma films. We have a set on system-induced trauma and identity-based traumas, and that is our JADE series in the center there. And then today, with the blue circle around it, we will be talking specifically and pulling clips from the transition age youth films, and those are highlighted on the screen to the left. So we urge you to check these out. Today is not about the films, it's about the youth. So we're going to leave it at that. These are the TAVE films. This particular film series was made under the direction and leadership of Cassie Kissel. There are 4 parts to this film series. It focuses both on justice-involved youth and child welfare-involved youth. These are not actors in the film clips. These are real youth talking about their real-world experiences. Please, we urge you to go check these out on your own, and we hope you find them very valuable. And so here we go. I do want to call attention to the chat. It seems that one of our CTASI members, Jenna, is providing a little bit of communication about what you all can do today to maximize your ability to see both the slides and the youth as they're speaking. So let me get on target here. And before we dive into that, actually, London, James, and Tyjuan, I am not seeing you at the moment. Oh, there we go. Okay, I had my chat over you. Hey guys.
Hey,
Hello.
Tracy.
Um, as you know, we are absolutely thrilled that you are here today. So grateful for you taking the time to do all the prep and for showing up today. And we're eager to hear anything you have to say. As we discussed, we thought that we might start out with a conversation and open the conversation with not a very light topic, but the topic of trauma. And so I just kind of want to throw out there, does anybody have any thoughts as to why the idea of trauma or the term trauma is an important one to consider when we're thinking about youth and their involvement in juvenile justice?
This question being asked to us a lot, so Tracy.
Yeah.
Just okay. I feel like trauma is very involved, included in the juvenile justice system because of the environment that these juveniles are coming from. It's already there, So being incarcerated at a young age and going through the things that they go through at that age, they already were trauma inflicted before they touch the justice system, So that's what make them very. That's what makes it. I feel it has to be the way that we work with them and how to find better resource for them. We have to do it with care and like be gentle because like I said, they're already trauma inflicted, and that's instilled in them from the lives outside of incarceration. So when they get there, they're just at the same time they're just juveniles who made mistakes and on the wrong path. And I feel like the trauma is just something that's makes them trauma. People, it's a thing called trauma bonding, and that happens with people all over the place, no matter if it's woman, female or male, or just a friendship. Trauma bonding is when people go through the things, and that's what help them connect to each other. So they're feeding off each other's energy, and that may not be always positive energy, and that's where we come in to figure out how we can turn that energy into positive.
James, you just brought up so many excellent points. Thank you for that. Does anyone want to respond to James, Taiwan, or London? And guys, would it be
Yeah,
good? Sorry, London, real quick, should I stop sharing? Can you see James right now so you guys can see each other?
yeah, I can. I'm on the big screen, so I literally just see everybody. I could scroll down all 129 people.
Okay,
That way,
perfect.
it's easier to see who's talking.
Okay, super. So go ahead, London, please respond either to the question about trauma and juvenile justice or to any of the points that James brought up.
All right, so just gonna give you guys a two and one. Um, Hi again, I'm London. So I want to just piggyback off what James was saying about the trauma bonding. Just off my own experience, a lot of relationships that have failed in my life are as friendships or relationships were off of the pattern of we had something in common that traumatically happened to us in life, right? Whether it was mass incarceration, running away, losing friends, just anything, you know what I'm saying, that caused pain and hurt, loss of parents. We found common uh, uh, relations with one another when we got in trouble. So, just off my own experience with going through the juvenile justice system, it has left a lot of trauma on me, far as me as an everyday person, a young youth growing to be a young adult that I am now 26. Um, it's just a lot of things that I know if I never got incarcerated as a young youth, I wouldn't even be thinking, I wouldn't even be moving, like, you know? So it left an outlook on life for me as a young man way differently than your average person, young man or young woman who has never touched jail at all. You know, so yeah, I will say it impacts you a lot. It impacts the youth, it impacts the parents, the families, everyone.
Yeah, trauma bonding and this idea that when we go through terrible things and other people go through terrible things, there seems to be a certain way that we can connect between us that you might not connect to others who haven't had similar experiences. Yeah. Taiwan, would you like to, and Taiwan's not going to be joining via video today because his your how do we say it? Your connectivity is questionable, right, Taiwan?
Yeah, first and foremost, how is everybody doing today? I'm Taiwan. My video is definitely tweaking. It kicked me out of the meeting twice earlier, so I'm here by audio and definitely happy to be here and share my input. I definitely wanted to add it on to what James and London spoke too about trauma bonding, but I don't necessarily want to talk about trauma bonding. I just want to talk about like trauma overall and why it is important to study, have a good understanding for trauma in specific, especially in juvenile justice settings. Because like a lot of the times the youth entering these carceral settings are have already experienced like a plethora of different traumas, whether it be emotional traumas from their childhoods or even from their adulthood, or it be physical traumas. I know a lot of people from my childhood, from my neighborhood, just where I grew up, who, a lot of traumatic things happened to them physically, and seeing or hearing about friends getting shot, friends getting stabbed, friends getting severely hurt, and physical altercations, friends going to jail, or even people who aren't friends, people who you just see around the neighborhood every day. It kind of like traumatizes you a little bit in a way, having to see these things, having to go through these things because you have to endure like the absence of your friends from your community when they gone. That's a different type of traumatic experience, especially for a kid whose mind is not developed fully. I feel like oftentimes this leads young people, like myself, to making irrational decisions, and not even only that. Sometimes we make emotional decisions that get us into trouble far quicker than the decisions we make when we actually have time to think it out. Also, I was gonna say, outside of the traumas youth may experience before like entering these carceral settings, I feel like youth also experience a lot of traumatic things physically, emotionally, while inside of these carceral places. And I feel like it's very important for the juvenile justice professionals to like have a deep understanding, or at least try and, I don't know, understand the traumas that the youth may experience, because leaving these places with these newfound traumas that we didn't have before, or with these new problems that we didn't enter these places with, kind of puts us at a disadvantage when we return to the community, because we don't really know how to like navigate the world or deal with people normally because of those traumas. You know, sometimes like you'll go into automatic defense mechanism mode, and it may be hard for people to talk to you or deal with you because you come off as too aggressive or too angry. Like, yeah. But that's pretty much my reasoning, or why I think like it's very important to kind of like take the time to study and understand not only kids but the traumas they've experienced in life, because you know you'll run into all these roadblocks and barriers with trying to communicate with a person and be asking or thinking to yourself like, man, I don't understand like why it's so hard to like form some type of connection, or you know, understand where this person is coming from when they're talking. But it's like almost like you guys speak two different languages, and it's all because of the things that they've experienced in their life that won't allow them to be on the same page as, you know, a person who may have not experienced those same traumas.
That was beautifully insightful and comprehensive. Thank you, Taiwan. You made so many excellent points. Lyndon, I saw you nodding a lot while Taiwan was talking. I don't know if you want to take this opportunity to respond to anything he had to say, and or to kind of do a bit of a more comprehensive, maybe we should pause, have everybody do a bit of a more comprehensive, what do you want folks to know about yourself, Lyndon? What do you want our participants to know?
Um, I just want to give Taiwan his James. There's no salt. We did good, brother. But I honestly appreciate the way he just uh
Mhm.
explained and expressed for both of us things that we probably didn't even think of saying in the moment, but when we got on mute, we wanted to say. He just kind of like hit all four corners of the topic, and I like, man, bro, that was dope. That was dope. I give you your flowers, bro. It was wonderfully explained. Wonderfully explained.
Thanks, I
Um,
appreciate it, bro.
no problem, brother. No problem. Good job to you too, James. No, good job to you too, brother. You did awesome. Now just a little bit about myself. Hi, I'm London Lyons. I'm an up and coming actor and content creator in Chicago. Um, I make relatable, positive content for people of around my age and younger. Motivational. I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. Um, I did run into a lot of run-ins of getting in trouble. I did spend a lot of time at Department of Juvenile Justice, um, 1100 in South Hamilton. I've been IYC Chicago, St. Charles, everywhere. Um, I was a very smart kid. I love school. I did graduate. I did finish. I got my GED when I was incarcerated in St. Charles at 17. Um, as I just got older, with me being in the system also, I was adopted. I had a lot of anger in me. So I ran to trouble purposely, intentionally, because I enjoyed the rush. I needed a reason to be angry sometimes. I needed a reason to actually feel that burn that made me upset of the reasons that I wasn't around my family or wasn't around, I didn't know my real biological parents. I wanted to know them. So with that, I fought that pain and that trauma for so long. As a juvenile, I got in so much trouble, even trouble that I didn't even want to be in, you guys. Like some of the trouble, a lot of the trouble, I didn't want to be in it. It just came, it just happened because, like I said, I was chasing that rush. I was looking for something. I didn't know. I wanted family. I didn't feel like I had family at home. So as I got older, it's crazy. I started getting around a lot of the people that I was once in the Audi home with, 1100 South Hamilton with. I got hired at a job when I was 22. I was in the program Lawrence Hall. I ended up getting hired by the program next door to them that does baseball for youth in the community, after school matters. And I was teaching, mentoring the Second Chance program for the juveniles that come home on house arrest. I met up with a PO that once PO'd me as a youth, and he introduced me to the wonderful Jessica, who is also on the panel right now. And she has been an inspiration in my life, as far as helping me and positioning me into meeting new people, uh, putting me in front of people that I never knew that I'll be able to sit in the same room with and be able to express the difference and the change that the juvenile system has put on myself and others. And now I'm here on the panel talking to you guys because of the opportunities that I've further chased once I got from being in trouble and stopped getting locked up and all of that stuff. I started looking for positive outcomes, positive activities to do. And now I'm here talking to you guys and I'm honored. So there's just a little bit about me.
That was great. Thank you, London. James, you want to go next?
Yes, I will. First of all, I really, really want to appreciate all 129 of you guys for being here. I appreciate that a lot. My name is James Price. I was incarcerated at 16, and I have recently been released at the age of 23. So I only have one goal, and that is to help others who don't see help coming. I always say that because I just remember feeling like I ain't never gonna have nobody come save me, or like just even to have somebody listen. Just those feelings just made me want to be like, okay, no matter what I do in the world, I just want to make sure I give back to the next generation and stuff and the people that so they don't go through what I feel like me and all my friends and everybody had to go through because of the decisions that we made. So that's me. I'm James Price.
Thank you, James. Tyjuan, do you want to do any sort of introduction? Anything you want the participants on today's call to know about who you are or the perspective you bring?
Absolutely. I can do a quick introduction. First and foremost, I just want to thank everybody for being here, providing us with this opportunity to have some type of voice. I'm really excited to be here today and share some of my experiences. For everybody who doesn't already know, my name is Tyjuan. Everybody calls me Turbo. Neither is preferred. Either one is acceptable. A little background about me. I did spend like some time and the Adi Home and in the Department of Juvenile Justice. I was a youth who was charged as an adult as a kid for a crime. So I was charged as an adult when I was 16. And I'm just now recently coming home, actually getting back into the world at 23. So I did a total of 7 years inside these carceral settings. And my time inside of these places, I've seen a lot of stuff, endured a lot of stuff. That being, I had some traumatic experiences. And another thing, all experiences like are not bad. I had the chance to meet some very good and very nice people while I was going through my trials and tribulations in life. One of those people's being James. I did spend a nice amount of time incarcerated with James, and we had some conversations. And yeah, that's why I'm excited to be here and speak on this because I know James got a good brain for things like this.
I appreciate that, Taiwan.
We got a lot of love going on. That is a good thing. All right, guys. Well, thank you for the great introduction. Thank you for helping folks think through why thinking about trauma is an important thing as we move into this. I heard you guys talk about trauma in the environment of kids before they get into contact, the system-induced trauma that they might face once they're in bonding, both outside and in the system because of the things they've experienced, and why that's important for the staff to understand. If it's okay with you three, I'm going to go ahead and start some of the film clips. We're going to play a 3-minute film clip and then pause and let you guys comment and respond to whatever you might see in the film clips. That sound good?
Um,
Okay. Awesome. I'm going to bring my screen back up then. And anybody feel free to remind me in the chat when to stop sharing so that you all can see the youth. Because staring at a slide is oftentimes not terribly helpful. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to share my sound and let's get to our slides. And our film clips are embedded. Thank you, Kayleen, for having done that. Let me tell you a little bit about this first clip you're going to see before I press play. So this does come from part 1 of the Tay film series. You're going to see an introduction of a young man named Nathan. He's 19 years old. He was interviewed when he was incarcerated in the Santa Barbara, County Jail. And then he's interviewed again 4 weeks later when he's out of jail. We don't have the ability to show the entire films. So I'm trying to give you a little bit of context. This first clip is also going to introduce someone named Deirdre Smith, who's the inmate services manager. She herself was incarcerated when she was an 11-year-old girl. She's going to talk about, from her opinion, the impact of trauma on incarcerated youth. And then you're going to see just a little bit of Christian, who's 18, and he'll do more of a formal introduction in the next clip. This clip is about 3 minutes long, so please hang in there and then we'll pause and we'll talk. Here we go.
Anyone? So my name is Nathan Angelo Contreras. I'm 20 years old from Santa Maria, California. A little bit about myself. I have three sisters, one brother, 2 dogs, a goldfish named Georgie, and yeah, I have a mom, a dad, and yeah, man, I almost forgot. I have a 13-month-old son too, named Isaiah. Cutest little man ever.
So talk to us about little Nathan, that 12-year-old boy.
Around 12 years old, I started getting into trouble. I started hanging out with gang members, and eventually, when I was 15, I actually became a gang member myself. I spent a lot of time in juvenile hall. I made a lot of bad decisions. I went to boys camp until I met you, and when I went from juvenile probation to adult probation, I started doing good and stuff. Ever since I had my son, I was doing good. And it's hard, man, being fucking 19 years old. My bad, I cussed. It's hard. It's hard being 19 years old and having a little baby son, but you know, man, it's so cool. Like, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Like, it's like being a father, definitely the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Most of the people that are incarcerated here don't believe that they deserve any better. They've messed up their whole lives. They don't deserve to be happy. They don't deserve to have a good life. They don't even know what steps to take to get there. Okay, so my name is Deirdre Smith. I'm the Inmate Services Manager at Santa Barbara County Jail. If we look at the whole picture and the holistic view of our inmates and about trauma and how does that affect the decisions that people make and the way people feel about themselves and are they worth anything else? And so many of these people here never had a chance, or their parents abused them, and the people that were supposed to protect them hurt them more than anybody in the whole entire world could have possibly hurt
99.
them.
Yeah, it feels good out here. It's nice, huh? Yeah. A little fresh air? Yeah. It's my first time here. Oh, it's your first time? Yeah, they brought me from the juvenile hall. Oh, okay. No, I was institutionalized like my whole life, so okay. I didn't really get to go to high school. Yeah, well, we'll make this your last time here. Yeah, hopefully, huh? No, hopefully you will. You're young. I know, I just turned 18. You got a lot of years. Get back to school, a lot of opportunities.
All right, guys. So I think I'm going to stop sharing here so that we can get you up on the screen again in full force. And yeah, I don't know, London, James, Tyjuan, anybody have any immediate responses to anything or thoughts about anything that you saw portrayed in that film clip?
It wasn't nothing very super immediate at the time until I sat back start thinking about it again. For example, he's been incarcerated and he has a child. And I wanted to bring that up and highlight that because you see that a lot in IYC. It's been very like regular for these youth to have children, and so that's another part that we have to include in the trauma. Now these youth are sitting down and doing jail time, but not only is their parents doing that with them and their siblings, but now they have a child that they have to look after. And so why I bring that up is I really wanted to be highlighted for IYC or in juvenile justice facilities all around to like really focus on the youth who like, okay, this is a youth himself, but he has a child, So when I say focus on that, it's being helpful, figuring out ways to make sure that the youth have resources for themselves, but also for their kids, because that's what it's all about. It's supposed to be to rehabilitate the youth and give them resources. So with that being said, we'll give resources to the youth, and some youth have children that it'll be very impactful to help the youth and their kids, make it easy for them to have visitation or figuring out ways to get in contact with their children, just ways to help them from being behind the wall as they are.
That makes perfect sense. And it seemed like it was such an inspiration for Nathan to have his son, right? Something really important in his life. London, I saw
Sometimes,
you.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
please. No, please, James, go.
No, I was gonna say sometimes that you see how he said like he's been institutionalized and going through incarceration all his life since he was a child. So it's like
Yeah.
everyone things are different, but that's the one thing that may inspire and motivate him to be like, man, I gotta do better. It's his child.
Mhm.
So that's why I feel like those resources have to be for his child as well.
Excellent point. London, I saw you shaking your head. I'm wondering if you or Taiwan or anybody wants to jump in and respond to this clip.
I was just agreeing with what James was saying. I don't have a child myself, but I was incarcerated as a juvenile with a lot of juveniles that were young with kids, and it was difficult by having to be on a specific level to see your child or your baby mother rather. Um, and I feel like incarceration should be more rehabilitative. Like getting you more back into the world to be able to be around people and be able to be a father maybe or a mother so to speak, or if you don't even have kids at all, just to be a citizen. It doesn't teach you that. It really teaches you to kind of put yourself back in a position to be back there. So yeah, like I agree with what James was saying. I just wanted to say that part.
Yeah, and your point about the rehabilitation is super important. I heard I think it was Nathan say, or no, it was Deirdre say, I don't most of these youth don't believe they don't believe they deserve any better than what they've experienced up to that point, which was
Yeah, it's like a revolving. It's like a revolving door. It's like, okay, I came in from the streets where it's freedom, okay, but of course, in a lot of people's lives, they're still not free, so they're still stuck where they're at. So that is all they know. Then they go to a place that's enclosed with nothing but the same environment that they know. It's
hmm,
really, it's just like I'm comfortable in being in this position, and that's why it's more often for people to continue to go back versus get out and learn their lesson. Is like they're more comfortable with being that way than not, because we're not learning any different in there.
yeah. Taiwan, did you want to comment on this film or should we go ahead and play the next clip?
Yes, I actually did want to comment on this film. Um, Kind of like London, I don't have any kids myself, so I did not have to experience, incarceration while trying to parent a young child. But what I will say though is it's more ways than one to experience this in particular. It doesn't always have to be through incarceration yourself. And I say that because as a child, my father was incarcerated and I did have to navigate life in the real world without that guidance. And I personally believe children who don't have the guidance of their parents, whether it be a mom or a dad, I feel like they are way more susceptible to outside influences, especially the influences of the world. And it can be hard to kind of like overcome that stereotype because like you don't have that at home guidance. So it's kind of almost inevitable that you go outside into the streets or wherever you frequent looking for that guidance, that knowledge, that wisdom to get you through your days without you making too many mistakes in your life. I don't know. I feel like that type of advice and guidance should come from a parent. I came from my parents, so I should kind of like, I don't know, be able to use their experiences in life to better myself as a person. I feel like that's the whole point of parenthood. You have to teach your children to be better than the mistakes that you made so their lives turn out better. And then, the cycle continues with your grandkids and your great grandchildren. But I just wanted to add that you don't always have to experience that struggle with parenthood or the change dynamic due to incarceration through yourself being incarcerated. Sometimes it might be other people who are close to you, others in your life who might be incarcerated, like my parent or like your parents, and it might if not have that same impact, it might have a similar effect on you had it been you incarcerated and struggling with parenting your kids from a cell.
Mhm. Mhm. Again, Taiwan, you're just knocking these answers out of the ballpark. Thank you for your commentary. And I think that, for any of the folks on the call that have children in their lives, whether they're parents or not, I think that none of us would really expect kids to guide themselves, right? Before, during, or after incarceration. So thank you for highlighting that. If it's okay with everyone, I think I'm going to go ahead and play our next clip, unless you guys wanted to jump in and say anything else right now. All right, let me go ahead and do that. This one is 2 minutes and opens with Deirdre, the woman that we saw in the last clip. And then we get a little bit more information about Christian and his experience. So let me get us to our next.
Anyone?
So my name is Nate.
Sorry about that. Here we go.
Back to a traumatic home environment or bad relationship or whatever it was, she's going to come right back here. So I have to teach her how she can get past that trauma and survive that and move on so that she can get past the substance abuse and the abusive relationships and all of those things, and so that she can feel worthy of being happy and successful.
Hey, Billy John. How you doing, ma'am?
Good, how are you?
Good. Just making it through it.
Yes, so good to see you.
Christian Gonzalez. Nice to meet you. Oh, hello. My name's Christian. Nice to meet you, man.
Time to see you.
Nice to meet you. All right, nice to meet you, Christian.
When you get a juvenile that comes into the juvenile justice system at age 12, you already know that child has probably had 12 years of trauma.
I'm considered a grown-up now. 2 months ago, I was a juvenile, and now I'm considered a grown-up. I knew one day I was gonna be here. I knew one day I was gonna end up in prison. There's only like 3 paths that I had to pick from, and
What are those paths?
it's either like I'm gonna be a drug addict, I'm gonna die, or I'm just gonna be locked up in prison. Like growing up with my mom and stuff, like a bumpy road, She was a good mother, don't get me wrong, she just was going through a lot of pain. So I had to grow up to be like an adult in a way, take care of my brothers and sisters at 10 years old. Like as time passed, I saw my mom get arrested and then I got taken away, which I went into the foster unit. But my whole life I just thought, I just miss my mom, but it was really trauma, because I saw my mom get arrested and it wasn't like a regular an arrest. It was like pull, like a resist. And I saw my mom go away and I was attached to her. And once that happened, I was just, trying to find her everywhere I could, but I was finding her the wrong way because she got locked up, and then I was like, oh, she's probably there, but I was a juvenile. I got locked up at 12, and then I was just institutionalized my whole life, and in and out, drugs, and then participating in the lifestyle that I'm in, you know.
All right. Anything stand out for folks on that clip? So London, James, or Tyjuan, if anybody wants to respond to this, we can, or we can play our next clip and have you respond then. Totally up to you guys.
I can respond now.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so I heard Christian talk a lot about being incarcerated since the age of 12. Um, in my head, that made me think a lot about my own situation. But 12 is a very young age to kind of like be experiencing incarceration and all the traumas that come along with it. And I say that because, thinking back on my experiences in IDJJ, I was housed at a facility with like vulnerable kids at one point, with vulnerable kids and females. So I was housed in a co-ed facility, and I wasn't so much a vulnerable kid. Like I was there for like college programming, but it kind of allowed me to see, I don't know, kind of like behind the scenes, me being a youth. I'm still a young person, but I'm kind of up there in age at this point, 18. Like I'm going on to college, trying to better myself, doing things later on in life that I didn't think I would do while being incarcerated. And here it is, I spend my days around vulnerable, at risk teenage boys, 12, 13 years old, and oftentimes I was seeing them get into like altercations, more altercations than myself. And with me being older, having seen probably more than them, having, done more time, I was thinking to myself, like, I don't know, I kind of didn't understand like where they were coming from. We're getting into so much trouble because I felt like I had all the leverage with me being gone for so long. I kind of was convincing myself that I had more reasons to be angry, but oftentimes I would see these young people like get into scuffles with other young people, fights. Sometimes people would get severely hurt. Sometimes it wouldn't be as serious. But I say this to say, like, I don't think like that's something that all the 12-year-olds should, be exposed to on a daily basis. Like, and this is something you've had to experience and go through, navigate every day. The aggressions of other youth who don't know how to deal with their traumas, expressing their own feelings. And a lot of the times, these kids don't know how to do that outside of, angrily. They don't know how to do it unless it's anger involved. So hearing Christians say that he been locked up since the age of 12 and talk about some his trials and tribulations, having to navigate life with, you know, experimenting with drugs and things of that sort, it really did just I don't know, kind of relate to me.
Yeah, it's a good point. And if you've got 12 and 13 or 14, 15, 16-year-olds even who are, having their own trauma symptoms and surrounded, spending every minute with youth who are also having their own trauma symptoms, that is not the best opportunity to begin to heal from your trauma. London, you came off mute. You want to comment to this?
Yeah, I my first time in the Audi home, I was 11 years old. My mom actually like kind of blame my mom because the case was actually me protecting another youth because he had did something and I was actually kind of older, so I helped like him get help rather.
Mhm.
The case ended up turning on me, but the judge understood with the police facts, my statement, and everything that was in front. He had dismissed the case, but my mom, she never really questioned like why I acted up in school. So she ended up sending me to jail. She told the judge that I needed to go to jail because I didn't listen at home and I was just this bad kid, but I was very smart. I did my work faster than other kids. So from that point on, I just continue like a path with getting locked up. Like it just certain stuff just found like that's why I said earlier I didn't want a lot of stuff I got locked up for, I didn't want to. So from like 11 years old until I was 21, I've been at 22. I've been in the justice system in some type of shape, form, or fashion. So I can relate to Christian, um, James, Tyjuan, like, and I relate to everyone in that scenario.
Yeah. London, thank you for sharing even more information about your personal story. And yeah, I mean it's youth, young youth like yourself who get involved in the system and need that guidance, right? They need the adults in their lives to wrap around them and to find out what supports they can put in place to kind of lift them up, right? Especially if they see that cycle happening over and over again. So thank you. Anybody else want to speak before I share this next clip? All right, let's go for it then.
Back to a traumatic home environment.
Sorry, guys, this is hard to navigate a little bit. There we go. Okay, so this is our third clip. This is from part 4 of the Tay series. It is 3 minutes. It opens with commentary from Sarah Potter, who herself was a system-involved youth, a youth in care, and she is now founder and CEO of a nonprofit agency focused on doing good work. And we're going to hear a little bit more from both Christian and Nathan. This will take us about 3 minutes.
We're finally at a place collectively where we know enough about the impact of trauma that we can look at youth who are involved in either the child welfare system, the juvenile probation system, who've experienced homelessness, who've had sort of the system involvement, that they are the same kids. And I think we say that, you know, we've recognized from the research that these are the same kids. Oftentimes they have the same challenges at home. They've had the same struggles in school. They've had the same traumatic experiences and events, and they're just coming in through different doors. We say this all the time, right? We say we can't treat these kids differently. We can't say that, you know, this child is in foster care because of no fault of their own, but this youth who is in juvenile probation is a bad kid.
You got involved in all of this pretty young.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you would say to teachers to look out for so that they can just be more aware? Like, did you stop going to school, or, you know, would it have made a difference if someone paid a little bit more attention to you in elementary school, or was it junior high, or when did the streets become more desirable than school and sports?
To keep it 100, you know, I'm not gonna lie, like, you know, like, I grew a connection with what I'm involved in. Like, I grew a connection, and there's no going back for me, you know, because I'm in this lifestyle, I'm deep, you know, but to be honest, if I wasn't in here, I think I would have been out and done something more stupid, or I probably would be dead right now. To keep it real, I'd probably be dead right now.
My boy Oscar, I love you, man. Rest in peace. Boy Rebel, rest in peace. Just see, me and Oscar, we actually we got arrested together for stealing chicken and Arizonas from the local Albertsons, and he ended up getting released, and then I ended up getting sent to boys camp for that, and then he was only back into it for about 2 months. And then one night, July 27th, made a bad decision. Went out, did things he shouldn't have, lost his life. So it's a big wake-up call, because I never knew that someone so close could just leave like that instantly. Like, you don't even get a chance to say goodbye. Just like that. And it hurt.
All right, there we go. So I'm going to stop sharing here for a minute and see if anyone feels like they want to comment on anything they heard in that clip. I know one of the things that, oh, James, come on, go for it, please.
Yes. I think I want to comment on this because I think this kind of it's just one of the more serious situations. When it comes to the youth, I like to be very transparent. So it's just like we said earlier with trauma bonding, but it's not trauma bonding. Like some of these youth are really going in as juveniles and has took more losses and been to more funerals than a 45-year-old man in different, in different environments and cultures. So it's like they have to acknowledge that. I hate the fact that I have the power to do this, but I do remember times where I've shared a picture of it's probably maybe six people in this picture and it's only two left or three left. Like so like when we gotta acknowledge these youth are coming in with real life things that they don't even know they don't even know how traumatic it is because they're so young and their mind is still developing. They're not really taking it in until this happens to somebody real close to you. Like, well, I can't call this person no more. He's not gonna answer. He's not gonna text me back. I can't hang out with this person no more. So when you take that can take a toll on a person, and also, but it takes a person to actually acknowledge, like, man, I ain't gonna lie. I'm going through some things. That's the first step to understanding that you have trauma. You have to express it and actually acknowledge it. That's the first step to it. So I really wanted to just tap in on that because we have to be very aware of the hundreds of youth coming in from hundreds of different neighborhoods, and have been through a lot. And it doesn't take away from anybody else. It doesn't mean, oh, he's been through more than this person, but we have to acknowledge everybody comes from different places. And everybody has a different story. And everybody goes through different things. And pain is a real thing. Trauma is a real thing. Love is a real thing. Heartbreak is a real thing. Depression is a very real thing. Seriously, depression. So I kind of just want to highlight that and, be more, it should be more of a month long of mental health awareness. Thank you.
That's awesome, James. Yeah, you said your first step is acknowledging that you're like going through it or impacted by trauma, but we can't really expect kids to recognize that if we're not educating them, if we're not talking openly about the impact of mental health. Taiwan or London, do you guys want to respond to what James said and or your own responses to the clip?
Um, I don't know. I like what Taiwan just said. That was dope, bro. I feel
James.
like all our responses are kind of like just shining light and kind of giving everybody a better perspective at um what's going on. So I don't really even got too much to say.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing love.
I got
Taiwan,
something.
please.
Yeah. First and foremost, I want to say, James, that was very well said. Um, but seeing that last clip and hearing him talk about like his friend Oscar, he said something specific that kind of like me and made me think. He said that it kind of ain't a lot how be here one day, on the next. Even death while incarcerated is something very hard to do because like those key moments with people that others get, and this is in my personal opinion, those moments, the last moments, whether it be people going to a funeral, whether it be, people going to a memorial ceremony for their loved one, I feel like those moments are critical in the grieving stages. And a person who's incarcerated doesn't get to experience that. When I want to say 16, 2018, I lost my oldest brother, my oldest sibling, in a car accident in St. Paul, Minnesota. And I'm still kind of trying to figure out how do I navigate the trauma and balance the grieving of losing my brother with my own mental health and the experiences that I had to endure while I was incarcerated. And sometimes that can be a very hard thing to do, especially when you have to grieve the loss of somebody so close to you. like a close best friend, or even in my particular situation, a sibling. Um, I feel like I feel like I don't know, more should definitely be done to kind of like address the mental health of those who do experience these type of things, because it's a very serious matter. It is a very serious situation. Like, and I know many a times I've ran into a guy while I was incarcerated, and they're going through their grieving woes, having to grieve their people from inside of the cell, not being able to say their last goodbyes, or it's kind of hard to come to terms with not actually being able to ever talk to a person again when you are there, because it's not like you're used to the presence of the people you normally used to. It's not like you have your mom and dad around every day when you're incarcerated. So it could be kind of hard to gauge what type of loss you may have took until you're actually home and kind of feeling the effects of losing a person. But yeah, I said that because during my time incarcerated, I feel like, and this is me legitimately saying this, I feel like therapy did a whole lot for my mental health to get me like over that last little hump, to get me to a place where I don't know, I was able to feel okay, or, you know, actually get past the grieving stage of grieving and actually move on to the healing side of grieving, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Everything you said makes absolute perfect sense, Taiwan. Thank you for sharing it. And I'm sure I speak on behalf of everyone when I say I'm sorry about the loss of your older brother. Um, Both James and London, you all had your hands up at different times. So, London, yours is up now. Do you want to go now?
Taiwan was first. I come second.
Oh, James was first. Oh,
Yeah, James. I think James was first.
okay, James, please go ahead.
I just wanted to also I try to like when I'm speaking on juvenile justice system, I try to always say everything that I say to encourage change. So putting this out there, like during my incarceration as a juvenile, I just remember I just know that I lost six people close to me, and they're all having different facilities. So I don't know who to blame, but I know I've never got a chance to go to none of the funerals and stuff. And I know it's about a lot. It's a lot of safety procedures that are taken in juvenile facilities and adult. But I think that, but I know for a fact I have seen like a person attend the funeral, maybe video call, but I just wanted to highly encourage more focus on that too. Cause like you said, like they have to understand that no juveniles get done with their dinner or lunch and they go back to their housing unit and get on the phone. You never know what type of call they're about to receive, they're about to get into. And I think it would have been more helpful to feel like IDJJ cared about my loss as much as I did, and help me get those resources I need for that as well. I think resources, when you say the word resource, and the work that we are all in, it can be brought in many different ways, not just rehabilitation. The resource, like I said, the resource can be for their mental health. The resource can be for their children, for them, whatever helps them motivate and inspire them to become a better person. But I just want to include that. That's
Thank you, James. Yeah, trauma focused psychotherapy is important, but so is just plain old compassion and trying to understand where someone else is coming from and what they're going through. London, would you like to comment?
Yeah. I would like to comment. So right now, I'm at a point in life where I'm searching for my healing space. Um, because I did lose my best friend when I was incarcerated. And there wasn't like a matter we had when we were children that we kind of never really spoke about when we were teenagers, rather. And uh it's been beating me down like for a long time. So I'm kind of getting in trying to find that space to heal and navigate, like, okay, I have to accept that I wasn't around because of where I was at, but I didn't have nowhere when I was in there to actually, find closure, heal, any of that. Um, so for me, I can relate to the video of losing people. I lost my aunt, I lost my cousin. Um, and it's like when you try to tell them you lost someone, they have to be, I think, an immediate family member, a mother, father, or something like that. I don't know like all the stipulations to like how to get to the funeral, but like it was difficult. I had to kind of show, and with me being a a a child that was in the system, I couldn't show all the document that everybody else could show because of course I didn't grow up around certain family members, so I had to take different measures than everyone else, and because I was incarcerated, it had to be bam bam bam. So yeah, I feel like, again, when you're incarcerated, it should be a rehabilitation, and that goes into it, teaching you how to heal, how to get over trauma. It's very hard. Like, this is not something that I don't think none of the three of us have ever gotten over when we speaking on trauma, as far as being incarcerated. Even with us being able to advocate for the youth, and advocate for one another, we still fight daily trauma ourselves. We are still gathering and building, but it takes the minds of us to know like there is better for us to chase that positive realm, but it is hard. So, what I'm saying, thank y'all for being able to sit here and, take our experience, our opinions, whatever you want to call it. We really appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
And right back at all of you, right? I think the degree of appreciation for you all is hopefully way more than what you can imagine as you express your appreciation for us. And folks should feel free to put any comments of appreciation or otherwise into the chat, the participants. London, like I said to Taiwan too, I'm really, really sorry for the losses that you experienced as well. And I know that all three of you are speaking from your own experiences and your own heart, but I can only imagine that, these losses are something that are unfortunately probably common, right? Throughout the youth that are interfacing with the justice system. So because you all have been so incredibly thoughtful and thought-provoking in your comments that you've shared, we've taken longer with the clips than we expected to, which is perfectly fine. If it's okay with you guys, I'd like to skip the last clip and just put up the questions that the justice professionals had consolidated prior to this, and then let y'all respond to that. So I'm gonna go back to sharing, and let me find that slide in particular. Okay, here we go. So there is no particular order that these have been put into, and Tyjuan, James, and London, you all can respond to one or none or all of them, whatever you feel good doing. I'm going to go ahead and read through for anybody that's on their device and phone rather, and may not be able to see what's here. So the first one is, how and when do you feel like your voice was or maybe not was not heard, either during or since your juvenile justice involvement? Number two, which services and programs did you find positive or helpful and which were not? Number three, what might improve the youth JJ experience? What can we, being probably anyone, do differently? Number four, what do you want us to know about how to best work with youth who are in the justice system? And I'm realizing you guys have made so many good points on some of these already. Number five, what do you want JJ staff to know, or what information do you want to share with them to improve the experience of youth when they become justice involved? Number six, what was the outcome of your JJ involvement, positive or negative? And or what do you think is the outcome of JJ involvement for youth in general? And then the final question here is what has contributed to your personal success? Or what do you think most youth need to meet their own personal potential? So would you guys like me to keep these questions up while you talk, or can I stop sharing? Who would like to begin?
I would
James,
like
you're
to
up.
begin.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Please.
I would like to speak on number 5. What do you want JJ staff to know, or what
Mhm.
information do you want to share with them to improve the experience of youth when they become JJ involved? Um, that question is really, really super important to me, just based off of the route that I'm heading. The staff are kind of like the most important pieces in the facility, you know. And I think they fail to. I think not fail to. I think it's not. I think it's they don't always realize that the realization isn't always there on how important the interaction with the staff and youth is. Um, being circle trained in a 8-hour circle for 4 days a week with the same people, and then you have to be like, okay, a peace circle is confidential. You know, everything that says here will stay here. So when we're doing those type of circles inside of a facility, um, we have to understand the precautions and procedures from the facility and respect that, and that's fine. But what we ask as circle keepers is the respect to be mutual. So we understand. I understand that there gonna be time where the staff will be involved in what we're doing with these youth. They will be involved. They will oversee, you know, and that's their job. But I think the process of who those staff are that will be involved with the youth doing certain things should be a process. Actually, like it should be a process. It should be looked at as, okay, we need to figure this out. Like I don't think it should be the staff that are just on the clock that day should be involved in certain things, because that's not always what's helpful for what we're trying to give to the youth in their minds. Because I can't run a program or a circle or a group or anything or meeting with the youth if they don't feel comfortable communicating with me and my team. And why they don't feel comfortable, because they may have 1, 2, or 3 staff hovering over them, which, like I said, we understand IJ's procedures and DOC's procedures as a staff of the state. But I think it should be more sense of control in who we allow to interact with the youth, because we want better outcomes. We don't want the youth to be in a room where he's trying to speak on how he wants to better himself, but he may be shy because this staff feel, or not even shy, but he may just not be comfortable because he's like, man, me and this staff don't even get along. I don't have a problem expressing how I better myself, but I don't want to do it in front of him. I probably don't feel comfortable with him hearing my plans because we just don't get along. He may try to sabotage what I'm doing in the facility that's gonna help my plans on the outside. You know, you never know. It could be 100 different things. So I just yeah, I want it to be a point where we're really focusing on the importance of the relationship between the staff and the youth. Very appropriate relationship, but you know, the respect being mutual. Not the youth don't always respect the staff, and the staff don't always respect the youth. And I think that issue has to be pushed. Thank you. That's my answer for number 5.
Excellent points, James. Thank you so much. Taiwan or London, would you guys like to respond to any of the questions or what James said? London, you're off mute.
Sure. Um, Great job, James. I like what you said. I'm not going to speak on the same one that he said. I'm going to actually pick a different one. Um, I would like to. I want to speak on them all, but if I'm being frank, I know it's a time thing. So, 7. What has contributed to your personal success, or what do you think most youth need to meet their potential? I say support. Um, they need support. They need patience. They need support. They need positive role models. If a youth does happen to, pass through the doors of a juvenile home or IDJJ system, when they come home, there should be a set plan, not just parole. Parole is just something that supervises them, right? Gives them stipulations for like therapy, drug treatment, and that type. We're talking about actual support, right? Sending them to classes that teach them for the time that they've been missing when they were locked up. I'm talking about learning how to write checks and balances, learning what we call financial literacy, which is something I was teaching the youth at Lawrence Hall for the Second Chance program, giving them young trades. There shouldn't be. I remember being in St. Charles. I couldn't do my GED until I was 17. If that youth is incarcerated and he has nothing but intelligence on his mind and time, yeah, I feel like he should uh, be able to have the ability to achieve whatever academic achievement he is reaching to succeed and push as a youth and juvenile and under the supervision of IDJJ or the ID home. And I feel like a lot of times they're just put back on papers, this and that, and there's all these different stipulations that withhold them from being the bright youth that they really want to be, the person that they really are trying to be, they want to be. And so I remember being in the Audi home. When I went in the Audi home, I realized a lot of different stuff about myself with different relationships that I built with different staff. And when I look and I see how the staff impacting me as a young man growing up right now, is like I know that it can be a change within the juvenile system. It doesn't have to hinder the youth, but it all takes the support, the love, the patience, and the guidance of the older people that we have around us to put in a little bit more time, a little bit more, you know, care. Sometimes we need that 24-hour uh love and support system, and that's something that I, had a conversation with Jessica on a private lying about, but that 24 hours, some people need that. I had staff that were consistent with me. Then I had some staff that just came and they did their job and it was that. Then we had excuse my language, we had the asshole staff. But then there was those particular staff that, they, and everybody's not going to be them. But I'm just saying though, that does need to be enforced. And I think that is speaking a little bit on what James was saying too.
Yeah, I can hear the overlap between what you all were saying, with the take-home message being, I think in James's words, we need to be careful who we allow to interact with our youth, right? And as you're saying, London, making sure that they are supportive and they are inspiring and they are compassionate. And we also need to make sure that our staff that are interfacing with our youth are taking good care of themselves and are being taken good care of by the systems that they work in so that they can bring their best selves to work every day, right? Because the work is hard. James, your hand is up, please.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Well, I just want to speak on that is number three. What might improve the youth JJ experience, or can we do differently? Um, you know what? I want to speak on this because I my first time being on a panel, I was still in the IDJJ custody, and that was just inspiring experience. It made me be open, more easygoing and easy to communicate with. It helped I did a lot of things at IDJJ that did improve my life skills. And I think that that's we need more of that at IDJJ, more youth being exposed to positivity. Um, and I think the things we can do differently is try to. I think it's not. I think I think I was given that choice. I was given that chance. I mean, to be on that panel because of trust. And I think what we can do differently is actually give the youth more chances to expose themselves as a human being and not a inmate. It seems like it seems like we get treated different. It seems like the word inmate is separating us from human beings. So at times it can feel like that, whether it's in a youth detention center or adult prison. When those doors are closed and you can't really express yourself in a joyful manner because you wake up. You hardly wake up on the right side of the bed when you're incarcerated. So, I think more experiences like that for the youth is what will help people be like, oh, I actually like this. I never knew that I would be when I was asked. How did I feel about being on here today? I'm like, I'm okay. It's been more fluent. It's been more easy because I've been getting used to it. But my 16-year-old self would have never ever wanted to speak in front of 10 people. So no, why would I want to do it on this video call with 129 people looking at me? But I was exposed to that. And that's one thing I can thank IDJJ for. They exposed me to that multiple times on multiple occasions. And that helped me as a person. Like I said, that helped me with my life skills, not just skills that wasn't gonna matter in a long time. So yeah.
Yeah, anything that we can do to build those life skills. I mean, you touched on many points that the last film clip we were going to show was touching on. And you didn't say it in these words, but it sounds like part of what our staff need to do, if I'm reading between the lines, is also, besides not using dehumanizing terms like inmate, right? Recognize that we're human beings, we're kids, we're young people, right? Not inmates. The other thing it can do is, really work hard on kind of catch them being good. Not
And
only, yeah,
I'm so sorry for cutting you off,
don't
one.
be,
First of
please.
all, before I was released, I had to share a little time at a work release center, and it was so discouraging there. Like I just wanted to express that, like being told by a staff member, like, um, I'm gonna ask, can I use your pen to sign this paper? And they're like, nah, because you might steal it. Why would you feel like I might steal your pen? Just like, and they would say, because you're a criminal. And that just like, if I was weak minded, I would say, oh, that hurt my feelings. But it didn't because I don't care about, their perspectives of me because but like, yeah, like just acknowledging like people go through those things, right? As youth or adults, when they are in those facilities, they are treated way different in ways that you would never expect people to the staff to be talking to them or acting towards them, So I just want to share that again when we speak on how to better these environments and facilities for the justice system in general.
Hmm. Hmm. Thank you, James. Yep. London, please.
I honestly I had wanted to just speak like with that part where Taiwan was saying the just overall where he spoke on man, I just had it on my head and I hate when I lose a thought.
Me
He
too. It's
said,
no fun. Yep.
man, like it was on the tip, but like thought he was finished and he said two more things and I was like, oh my gosh. I'm a I'm gonna let it come back to me, but um I know it has something to do with being in the juvenile system
Yeah.
and yeah, I can't get the thought now.
That's all right. No problem. London, when it comes back, just come off mute and let us know. Yeah, so James he pointed out the dehumanizing term and he also said, criminal, right? They refer to me as a criminal and I think
Oh,
just
bingo. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. So I wanted to speak because he was like the stolen pen. Bingo.
Mhm.
It was just so my brain was just racing. I'm sorry, guys. Um, I feel like those type of people are the people that never really been through any trouble. Like I'm speaking directly to him, but I'm also speaking to the panel too. And that's where like I come in and I say like those people that are ready to change their lives and they're at the mindsets where we're at, those are the people that you guys got to start training to get in the field and be around and be, because there are people who, man, like, bro, I'm trying to tell you, man, I walk down the street every day and I be like comparable to people. And it's like they don't understand it, but it's like, bro, I done been through this stuff 20, 30,000 times. I'm only 26. How I done been through something that somebody 35, 40, 50 has been through, probably I've been through more times. So it's like the knowledge that I've acquired, even though there is trauma behind, once we get past that trauma, I'm most definitely a resourceful resource. James, Taiwan, most definitely resourceful resources. Others that are at that peak of their lives where they're like, you know what, man, all that stuff I did is in the past. You know what I'm saying? It was a lifestyle that I carried. It was something that was on me. It's not in me. Who I really am is inside of me. You know what I'm saying? And that's who you guys are actually tapping in with today. Y'all are tapping in with the people that are inside of us, not the people that y'all see. Because majority of the time when people see us, they probably are feared. And that's okay. That's cool, because what you don't know is sometimes presents fear. And that's scary. But hey, if you don't know what's under your bed and it's dark, what you gonna do? Get scared. So it's like the same thing in life. When you see something and you've never experienced it, majority of the time it brings fear. But once you start talking and tapping in with us, you realize like we really cool individuals. I did commit crimes and did bad stuff, but now you couldn't pay me to go out here and lose my crib. You couldn't pay me to like my peace. I do go through trauma, but I've got peace. I've got my own space. I'm learning how to take care of bills. I didn't learn this at 20, which I wish I would have, but I'm not pressed about it anymore because I'm learning how to get over those obstacles. I'm meeting brothers like Tyjuan James that have been through the same thing. So it's like when we get off calls like this, it makes me want to grind a little bit more harder now. It makes me want to touch that peak a little bit harder now because I was locked up for 3 years from 14 to 17. But just to speak on the 7 years, man, bro, peace to you brothers for coming out and having the brains that y'all got right now to even come on the panel and talk. It's so many brothers that come back home, bro, and be on straight BS, man. I ain't trying to take up y'all time, but I'm just genuine when I speak because that's just me. You know what I'm saying? And I just love making people feel empowered because like we powerful. So again, it's peace and love.
Definitely greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, I really appreciate this space that we in right now. I appreciate all the ears listening. And I can't really express how appreciative I am. But just saying, so thank you, guys.
Thank you, London. Thank you, James. Thank you, Taiwan. I think we may have lost Taiwan.
Nope, I'm still here.
Oh, awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. I don't see you on my screen, but I'm so happy you're here because I want you all to see the love that is being expressed, not only from you to you, but in the chat box. We are getting near the very end of our time together here. And we want to make sure to express like an official and big thank you, not only to our panelists, but to our audience. We also I would like to echo what you were just saying, London, if I understood you correctly, about elevating not only like youth voice in general, youth of all experiences, of all backgrounds, of all ages and their families. We need to be talking to them. We need to be learning from them, gathering the information that they have from the inside, right? From their personal experiences. But I do think too that there's something special to be said about identifying youth who are able and willing and ready to play an inspirational role and a mentorship role, and so able and going to make an impact that people, that older people are not going to make. So yeah, thank you all for being here. Taiwan, did you want to share anything? Your box is lit up.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I just didn't get the chance to answer any other questions, and mine was gonna be actually rather fast. Out of all of the questions on the list that
the list of questions you posted and the
You want
video.
me to put them back up? I'll pop them back up here.
That's fine. I actually know which question though that I was kind of like looking for resonating with. I heard James and London speak a lot about a lot of the things that was wrong with the justice system, a lot of things that they endured that caused them problems rather than brought value to their life. And I just wanted to say, like, in response to one of the questions that asks, like, what program or programs did you find very helpful? I just wanted to say, like, having mental health professionals on hand and actually participating in therapy, actually going through counseling, talking about some of those traumas and things that we experienced in life that may have like changed us to a different person, actually did help me become a better person. And I honestly never thought I would be saying this. Like the idea of opening up to a total stranger about some of my most traumatic experiences was terrifying for me once upon a time. But having gone through therapy and actually having taken the effort to try and fix some of the things that I knew were severely wrong with me definitely did help me a lot. And I feel like it made me, I'm not the greatest person today, but I am a great person today. I might be the greatest tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Taiwan. I think you're going to be the greatest every day, and you're going to just keep getting greater until the days are gone. London and James, would you all do either? And thank you, Taiwan, for raising up the positive pieces and highlighting therapy in particular. Those of us who do therapy love to hear that. James and London, do you all want to have any closing statements before we wrap this up? It is at the 3 o'clock hour.
Um, no. I think I just want to thank everyone again. Like I really feel, what, guys, this is the highlight of my day. Thank you so much for that. Cause I ain't gonna lie, like a lot of times that be like that was a lot of problem, a lot of frustration when when youth felt like they wasn't being heard. So, like I said, more experiences like this, having people actually like, man, I want to hear him. I want to know what he got to say. That does nothing but lift a person up. It does nothing but make a person be like, okay, I really want to, this is what I want to be in life. This is what I want to do. So it helps people because if I'm getting incarcerated at 15, 16, I have no idea what career I want. I have no idea what I want to be when I grow up. I never could answer that question at school. So it's like these situations and environments is what help people understand their purpose. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, thank y'all, thank y'all, thank y'all. Um, I don't know. Like I said, I would never thought as a juvenile, especially getting in troubles as I was, I wouldn't think that I have the opportunity to even be up here speaking to some of the people I speak to, even on the outskirts of the stuff that I do on the outside of this, the opportunities. I'm very grateful and thankful. And, I just make sure I come genuine, I always say like excuse my language because I'm genuine. So it's gonna come how it's gonna come. I'm gonna make sure I'm respectful at all times, but I'm gonna give you the raw, I'm gonna give you the nitty gritty at the end of the day because that sometimes is what gets everything, you know what I'm saying, where it needs to be. So just thank y'all for taking time out of y'all days to give us the opportunity to elaborate. Thank you.
Thank you all. To our panelists, we will absolutely be in touch in the immediate to set up our debrief call. I will be saving the chat so that each of you have a chance to see it. We will, just for everyone to know, decide as a group with the panelists whether or not this recording is posted. If we do post it, we will send